Subscribe to our channel for more gripping corporate stories and leadership insights. I walked into the boardroom, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. The air felt thick with tension, and every eye was on me. My assistant, Claire, had just left the room, her face unreadable. I'd heard whispers of her meeting with the board earlier. Rumors swirled that she'd thrown me under the bus, calling me incompetent. The words stung, sharp and cold, like a blade. I'd trusted her for years, shared strategies, late nights, and coffee runs. How could she betray me like this? I straightened my tie, forcing a calm I didn't feel. The board chair, Mr. Grayson, cleared his throat, his gaze piercing. I braced myself for the worst, expecting a public dressing down. Instead, he leaned forward, his voice steady but curious. "We've heard some interesting feedback about your leadership," he began. My stomach dropped, but I held my ground, ready to defend myself. The room was silent, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner. I could feel sweat beading on my forehead. Grayson's words hung in the air, heavy with implication. I glanced at the other board members, stern faces, unblinking eyes. They'd heard Claire's report, no doubt. She'd been my right hand for 3 years, privy to every decision. If she called me incompetent, they'd believe her. I opened my mouth to speak, but Grayson raised a hand. "We're not here to judge you based on one opinion," he said. Relief flickered, but suspicion lingered. Why was he so calm? I'd spent months pushing for the division's growth, hitting targets. Yet, Claire's words could unravel everything. I thought of our late-night strategy sessions, her nodding along. Was it all a facade? I needed to know what she'd said. Grayson slid a folder across the table, his expression unreadable. "This is Claire's report," he said. My fingers itched to grab it, but I stayed composed. I nodded, waiting for the axe to fall. "She claims your leadership lacks vision," he continued. The words hit like a punch. Vision. I'd spent years building this division from nothing. Revenue was up 20% last quarter alone. I wanted to scream, but I bit my tongue. "However," Grayson added, "we've reviewed your performance metrics." My heart skipped. Was this a lifeline? He tapped the folder, his eyes narrowing. "Your numbers tell a different story." I leaned forward, desperate for clarity. Was this a test? A trap? I couldn't read the room, and it unnerved me. The boardroom clock ticked loudly, each second amplifying my unease. I glanced at the folder, wondering what poison Claire had penned. She'd always been ambitious, but this? It felt personal. Grayson's voice cut through my thoughts. "Your division's growth is undeniable," he said. I blinked, caught off guard. "Praise. Now. But we need to address this disconnect," he added. Disconnect? I wanted to laugh. The disconnect was Claire's betrayal, not my leadership. I'd mentored her, shared credit for wins. Yet here I was, defending my worth. Another board member, Ms. Patel, spoke up. "We've seen your reports, your team's loyalty." Loyalty? That was news to me. Maybe Claire didn't speak for everyone. Hope sparked, but I stayed cautious. Patel's words lingered, and I felt a shift in the room's energy. They weren't here to fire me, at least, not yet. Grayson leaned back, studying me like a chess opponent. "Claire suggested we consider new leadership," he said. My jaw clenched, but I nodded, keeping my face neutral. "She believes the division needs a fresh perspective." Fresh perspective. I'd innovated processes, cut costs, and boosted morale. The nerve of her. I wanted to confront her, demand answers. But this wasn't the place. "We disagree," Grayson said, and my head snapped up. Disagree? The board wasn't buying her story? My mind raced, piecing it together. Claire's move had backfired. But why? I needed more. The boardroom felt less like a battlefield now, more like a puzzle. Grayson's next words floored me. We think you're the right person to lead the entire division. I froze, certain I'd misheard. Lead the division? After Claire's sabotage? I scanned their faces for a catch. None. Patel nodded, her expression firm. Your results speak louder than opinions, she said. My chest tightened, not with fear but pride. I'd fought for every win, every percentage point. Claire's words were meant to bury me, but they'd done the opposite. The board saw through her. Still, questions gnawed at me. Why had she done this? And what did this promotion mean? I nodded, masking my shock. Grayson outlined the role. Full control of the division, reporting directly to him. It was a massive leap. More responsibility, more scrutiny. I'd be overseeing teams I'd never met, budgets I'd only glimpsed. My mind flashed to Claire. Had her betrayal been a twisted gift? No, I wouldn't give her that credit. I'd earned this through sweat and strategy. We need your vision to scale, Grayson said. Vision. The irony wasn't lost on me. Claire had called me visionless, yet here I was, being handed the reins. I felt a surge of determination. I'd prove her wrong, not out of spite, but because I could. The board was watching, waiting for my response. I nodded, firm. The meeting shifted to logistics, timelines, goals, and expectations. I listened, but part of me was still reeling. How had Claire's betrayal led to this? I pictured her smug face, unaware of the outcome. Did she know the board had dismissed her claims? I wanted answers, but not now. My focus was on the opportunity. The division was a beast, sprawling, complex, with competing priorities. I'd need a new strategy, a new team. My old team. Could I trust them after Claire? I pushed the thought aside. The board believed in me. That was enough. Patel handed me a new folder. My contract. Read it carefully, she said. I would. As the meeting wrapped, Grayson stood, extending his hand. We're counting on you, he said. His grip was firm, his eyes steady. I returned the handshake, feeling the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a promotion, it was a mandate. The board had chosen me over Claire's narrative. I walked out, head high, but my mind churned. Claire's betrayal still stung, a wound I couldn't ignore. I needed to confront her, but not yet. First, I'd prove myself. The division was mine to shape, and I'd make it thrive. I glanced back at the boardroom, its glass walls reflecting my resolve. This was my chance to redefine everything. Back at my desk, I stared at Claire's empty chair. She was out for the day. Convenient. I opened her report, my fingers trembling with anger. Her words were clinical, damning, lacked strategic foresight. Lies. I'd built this division's success on foresight. I closed the folder, my resolve hardening. She'd underestimated me, but so had I. I'd trusted her too much, ignored her ambition. That stopped now. I pulled up the division's latest metrics, already planning my next moves. The board's faith was a lifeline, but the real work was ahead. I'd lead, not just to prove Claire wrong, but to prove myself right. The next morning, I walked into the office with a new fire. My inbox was flooded. Congratulations from colleagues, questions from the board. I ignored them all for now, focusing on the division's data. Numbers don't lie, unlike assistants. Revenue streams, project timelines, team performance, all solid. Claire's accusations didn't hold up against the facts. Still, her betrayal gnawed at me. Why risk her career to undermine mine? I pushed the thought aside, opening my new contract. The terms were generous: stock options, a corner office, real power. But power came with pressure. I'd need to unify the division, fast. My first task: meet the team leads. The team leads gathered in the conference room, their faces a mix of curiosity and caution. I stood at the head, projecting confidence I barely felt. "We're taking this division to new heights," I said. They nodded, but I saw questions in their eyes. Did they know about Claire's report? I didn't mention her, focusing instead on our goals. Growth, innovation, unity, these were my pillars. I assigned tasks, set deadlines, and watched their reactions. Most seemed eager, but a few were guarded. Claire's influence lingered, a shadow I'd need to erase. I ended the meeting with a clear message: we succeed together. They clapped, but I wasn't fooled. Trust takes time. After the meeting, I called Claire into my office. She walked in, her smile tight, eyes avoiding mine. "I didn't waste time. I read your report," I said, my voice calm but firm. She flinched, but recovered quickly. "I was just being honest," she said. Honest? I wanted to laugh. Her report was a calculated hit, not truth. I leaned forward, holding her gaze. "The board disagreed," I said. Her face paled, and I saw the realization hit. She'd gambled and lost. I could fire her, but I didn't. "Not yet. You're on my team," I said. "Prove you belong." She nodded, silent, and left. The next weeks were a blur of meetings, reports, and late nights. I dove into the division's operations, learning every detail. My team leads stepped up, some more than others. I watched for loyalty, for cracks Claire might exploit. She was still around, quieter now, but I didn't trust her. I restructured workflows, streamlined budgets, and pitched new projects. The board noticed. Grayson emailed praise after my first quarterly report. Revenue was climbing, morale was up. Still, Claire's shadow lingered. I heard whispers of her talking to team leads, planting doubts. I needed to act, but carefully. Confrontation could backfire. I focused on results instead. One evening, I found a note on my desk, unsigned, but Claire's handwriting. "You're in over your head," it read. My blood boiled, but I didn't react. She was testing me, trying to rattle my focus. I shredded the note, then called a team lead I trusted. "Keep an eye on Claire," I said. He nodded, no questions asked. I couldn't let her sabotage me again. My new role demanded focus. Big projects were launching soon. I spent hours refining our flagship initiative, a tech rollout that could redefine the division. If it succeeded, Claire's whispers would be irrelevant. If it failed, I'd be vulnerable. I couldn't afford to fail. The tech rollout became my obsession. I worked with engineers, marketers, and analysts, aligning every piece. My team leads rallied, their skepticism fading. I saw loyalty forming, real this time. Claire stayed on the sidelines, her influence waning. I kept her on busy work, limiting her access to key decisions. She didn't protest, but her eyes burned with resentment. I didn't care. The board was watching, and I was delivering. Weekly updates showed progress, costs down, efficiency up. Grayson called me in for a private meeting. "You're exceeding expectations," he said. I nodded, hiding my relief. Claire's betrayal had lit a fire in me, and it was paying off. 3 months in, the division was thriving. My team was cohesive, projects were on track, and the board was pleased. I'd earned their trust, but Claire remained a loose end. I called her in again, this time with HR present. "Your role is changing," I said. She'd be reassigned to a smaller team, away from my core operations. Her face tightened, but she didn't argue. HR outlined the terms, fair, but firm. She'd lost her leverage, and she knew it. As she left, I felt a weight lift. I'd neutralized her without firing her, keeping the team intact. It wasn't revenge, it was strategy. The division came first. The tech rollout launched to applause, internally and in the market. Revenue spiked, and competitors took notice. I stood in the boardroom again, presenting our success. Grayson smiled, a rare sight. "You've proven us right," he said. The other board members nodded, their confidence clear. I thought of Claire's report, her attempt to derail me. It felt distant now, a footnote. I'd turned her betrayal into my triumph. My team was stronger, my vision clearer. I thanked the board, my voice steady. This was my division now, and I was just getting started. But challenges loomed, bigger budgets, bigger risks. I was ready. Back at my desk, I reviewed the latest metrics. The division was a machine, humming with efficiency. My team leads were now allies, not just subordinates. I'd earned their respect through action, not words. Claire was a non-issue, relegated to a corner of the org chart. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. My success was enough. I thought about her report, her accusation of incompetence. It had hurt, but it had also pushed me. I'd never worked harder, never been sharper. In a twisted way, she'd done me a favor. But I'd never thank her. This was my victory, built on my terms. As the quarter ended, I prepared for my first division-wide address. The auditorium was packed, hundreds of employees, all eyes on me. I spoke about our wins, our future, my vision. They listened, rapped, and applauded when I finished. I felt the weight of their trust, their belief in me. Claire was in the back, her face blank. I didn't care. I'd moved past her, past the betrayal. The board's decision had been a gamble, but I'd proven them right. I ended my speech with a promise: "We're just getting started." The crowd roared, and I knew they believed me. I believed me. The division's success drew attention. Industry articles, competitor whispers. I was invited to speak at a conference, my first as division head. I prepared relentlessly, knowing every word would be scrutinized. My speech outlined our tech rollout, our growth, my vision. The audience, CEOs, analysts, peers, listened intently. Questions followed, sharp but fair. I answered with data, confidence, and clarity. Backstage, a rival exec shook my hand. "You're the real deal," he said. I smiled, but inside, I thought of Claire. Her report could have ended me, but it didn't. I'd turned her betrayal into a springboard. This was my stage now. Back at the office, I focused on the next challenge: scaling the division. New markets, new products, new risks. I assembled a task force, hand-picking loyal team leads. We mapped out a 3-year plan, ambitious but grounded. The board approved it unanimously, Grayson calling it visionary. That word again. I smirked, thinking of Claire's report. Visionless? Hardly. My team was energized, ideas flowing like never before. I delegated more, trusting my leads to execute. They did, and results followed. Revenue climbed another 15%, and morale soared. Claire's name barely came up anymore. She was a ghost, irrelevant. One evening, I found an old email from Claire, sent before her betrayal. "You're the best boss I've had," it read. I stared at it, conflicted. Had she meant it then? Or was it always a game? I deleted it, letting go of the question. Her motives didn't matter anymore. I'd built something bigger than her betrayal, bigger than my doubts. The division was a powerhouse, and I was its architect. I leaned back, staring at the city skyline from my new office. The view was earned, not given. I thought of the boardroom, that fateful day. They'd chosen me, and I'd delivered. The board called me in for a strategic review, 6 months into my role. They wanted more: global expansion, new partnerships. I presented my plan, backed by data and projections. They nodded, impressed, but Grayson pushed harder. "Can you deliver under pressure?" he asked. I met his gaze. I already have, I said. He smiled, satisfied. The meeting ended with a new mandate: double our market share in 2 years. It was daunting, but I thrived on it. I thought of Claire's report, her attempt to bury me. It was laughable now. I was leading, not just surviving. The board knew it, and so did I. My team grew, new talent mixing with veterans. I fostered a culture of trust, not fear. Meetings were open, ideas welcomed. Results followed. Projects launched early, budgets underspent. I kept Claire at a distance, her role diminished but stable. Firing her would have been petty. This was smarter. She saw my success daily, a quiet reminder of her failure. I didn't dwell on it, though. My focus was forward. New markets, new challenges. I met with global partners, negotiated deals, and built alliances. The division was a player now, not a footnote. I was shaping an industry, and it felt right. A year after the boardroom drama, I sat in my office, reflecting. The division was unrecognizable, bigger, stronger, bolder. My team respected me, the board trusted me, and competitors feared me. Claire's betrayal was a distant memory, a spark that had ignited my rise. I'd turned her words into fuel, her doubts into drive. I opened my laptop, drafting a memo to the team. "We've built something extraordinary," I wrote. "But we're not done." I meant it. The next phase was global, and I was ready. I thought of that boardroom, Grayson's handshake. I'd earned it, every bit. The industry conference came around again, and I was a keynote speaker. My speech drew a standing ovation, hundreds of execs clapping for me. I shared our story, not Claire's betrayal, but our triumphs. The tech rollout, the revenue spikes, the team's grit. I didn't mention her, didn't need to. She was irrelevant, a footnote in my ascent. Backstage, Grayson approached, his smile wide. "You've exceeded every expectation," he said. I nodded, grateful but not surprised. I'd worked for this, bled for it. The division was mine, and I was leading it to heights I'd never imagined. Claire resigned a week later, quietly, no fuss. I didn't react, didn't need to. Her departure was a non-event, overshadowed by our latest win, a major contract with a global firm. My team celebrated, and I joined them, toasting to our future. I thought of her report one last time, its lies now laughable. She tried to break me, but I'd built an empire instead. The board's faith, my team's loyalty, my own grit, it had all paid off. I looked around at my team, their faces lit with pride. This was my legacy, and I was just getting started. The division's success became a case study, taught in business schools. I was invited to guest lecture, sharing my journey. I kept it professional, focusing on strategy, not betrayal. Students asked about challenges, leadership, vision. I answered honestly, but Claire's name never came up. She didn't deserve the airtime. My story was about resilience, about turning doubt into drive. I thought of that boardroom, the folder, Grayson's words. They'd seen something in me, even when I doubted myself. Now I was living it, leading, shaping, winning. The division was a titan, and I was its heart. 2 years in, I sat in the boardroom again, presenting our global expansion. Revenue had tripled, market share doubled. Grayson stood, applauding first, the others following. "You've redefined this company," he said. I nodded, my chest tight with pride. Claire was gone, her betrayal a faded scar. I'd turned her words into my triumph, her doubt into my dynasty. The division was mine, built on my vision, my work. I looked at the board, my team, the numbers. This was my story, and it was far from over. I'd lead, not just for me, but for everyone who believed in me. Subscribe to our channel to follow more stories of triumph, leadership, and corporate drama.